Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Of course, I'm doing another video right after I do another one because I owe you videos. I literally owe you videos. You guys watch, some of you very rarely watch my videos. It's probably just my friends, but you know, they watch my videos daily. Every video that comes out, they just immediately watch, I assume. But yeah, that's what my friends do. Just get this out of the way. I'm just gonna put this in my lap. Now this is top 10 video, or top 10 things about mobile phones or cell phones that people don't really talk about nowadays. And that is number 10 is car phones were a driving hazard of the 80s. Of course they were. Of course they were a driving hazard of the 80s, and of course they were insanely stupid. Like, who actually came up with these? They're like, oh, you could have a suitcase, but then you can make it fit with beside your gear shift or whatever. You're so stupid. Might as well just carry around a bag phone, man. Those things were stupidly stupid, and they had to be specific to your car, I assume. They had to be specific to everything. So that's why I think car phones were a driving hazard. And of course, typing on your phone while trying to call someone on 1G technology. I like 1G. I plan to bring it back, in my own way. Just privately, of course. But driving while calling someone is just insane. You had to literally type a 10-digit number or 9-digit number, and then you have to look at it while driving, and then you can call. I mean, I guess that's not as bad as texting while driving, but still, it's pretty dumb. Anyway, let's skip to number 9. Nokia made phones before Motorola. That is actually a true fact, and that will be explained more further into the video. Nokia mainly made, number 8, Nokia mainly made phones for Europe. That is actually true, and that is, I don't know. It is kind of sad that they didn't really make GSM phones early on in the 1990s. That would have been cool. They're only common until 1997, I assume, around. And Nokia did start making cell phones a lot like this one by 1997. So that was basically the first US GSM phone that works in the US. Number 7, the earliest cell phones that work in the US was actually, the earliest GSM cell phone that works in the US was actually the Motorola StarTAC, not the Nokia. It was not the Nokia 1011, it was in fact, a StarTAC, a Motorola StarTAC. That was the first GSM phone commercially available back in 1997. And of course, it exploded in the market, and, of course, better voice quality slightly, and of course, the availability to have private conversations without having someone tune in on a conversation if they're using some sort of foreign radio or something. I don't know how that would happen. I saw this one episode on The Simpsons where someone tuned in on cell phone signals, because in the 90s, 1G was still common back then. So you could easily tune in on some sort of device on a cell phone call. That was actually true. So, number 6, the Motorola International series does not work in the US. And that is absolutely true and absolutely sad. That does not work in the US, and I wish it does. Now, it is pretty sad that we don't have the Motorola International 32 or 3300. That would have been cool if we had those in the US, because those are the first 2G phones that actually work in the US that have that brick style. Or no, they work in Europe. They are one of the better phone. They're one of the brickier phones that work that actually still work to this day. But they only work in Europe, is what I'm trying to say. So, and in other countries, of course. Number 5, the first cell phone was not actually the Motorola 8000X. In fact, there were cell phones since 1973, and those also were car phones. They were car phones, bag phones, whatever kind of phones. They were big and clunky. You had to carry them around in a suitcase. So did the Motorola 8000X, but, still, bruh. The phone was literally the suitcase back then. That's what I'm trying to say. 4. Number 4, the Nokia 3390 actually works in the US rather than the Nokia 3310. Now, I talked about this in a last video, but it actually does work in the US, the 3390, not the 3310. Then the 3390 you still have to unlock if you don't have the 3390B. So, yeah. Number 3, the Nokia 3310 is probably more fragile than previous Nokia or Motorola phones. Fun fact about this. Actually, no fun facts. I didn't particularly do much research, or much useful research at least. I searched up the 5190 surviving, freaking drops from atop of a tree. It still worked, but the screen broke because of how badly designed the phone was. But anyway, moving on. The Nokia 2010 was actually the first to... Oh, wait. Oh my gosh, wait. Number 3 again. Sorry about this. But the Motorola phones in the 1980s were actually pretty durable. They were actually advertised to be durable, unlike the Nokia 3310. So, just to clarify. Number 2, the Nokia 2010 was actually the first to have the Nokia tune, not the 1110, or 2110. Not the 2110, the 2010 was actually the first to have the Nokia tune, according to some YouTuber I found out about a while back, and I watched him ever since, and I trust him with some stuff, and some stuff I don't trust him with, because I actually did my own research on it. But there is literally, these phones, the 2010 and the 2110, probably came out the same month, the exact same month of 1994, but they are pretty different phones, and of course the 2010 is big and clunkier than the 2110. Actually, no, I don't have a 2110, but I have a 2190, and a 2160 that doesn't work anymore. I don't know why. I'm gonna take the battery off this phone. See if that did anything bad. I don't know if it did. Probably doesn't because the phone was off. But I don't know how that works. The phone was fine. It doesn't have anything rattling around in it, but it just doesn't work anymore. It just stopped working because some power management PCB freaking fell off, and I freaking hate it. It wasn't a PCB, it was some sort of circuit. I don't know anything about circuit stuff, so you can just explain in the comments for other people. Number 1. Now this is the most interesting one, and I would love to explain this to many people, except T-Mobile, because they will probably, just on the whole system, because they found out, oh, there's oh man, sorry, I slept on that. There's still work. 2G still works in the US, actually, on T-Mobile's MVNOs. T-Mobile's MVNOs actually still work on 2G on these old phones. MVNOs specifically, that's why I ordered a SIM card for this. on Amazon, and that is an MVNO. It specifically says it is compatible with GSM phones, all GSM phones, and it advertises that, and it's a new SIM card. So that'll be very interesting. I already have it coming in the mail today, like I said before in the last video, but only T-Mobile has their service on. No other carriers really have service. T-Mobile really has 2G and maybe 3G in your area, more likely. I checked a coverage map, and there is still a crap ton of service along the U.S., including my area, which is Spokane, Washington. That has a crap ton of service, especially in the Shadle area. So, yeah. Hope to see you in another video. Hope you like and subscribe. And see ya. Bye.